Hello there, people of the world, and welcome to today's episode of Coffee Chats with Jax. So right now I am rereading through my book that I published last year called Be Free, which is pretty much the story of my life, overcoming shame, stepping into a life of freedom, learning what grace means. And in that book, I talk about some things that I was pretty certain I would never tell a single soul. And I'm rereading this book because I'm trying to come up with some discussion questions so that it can be read in small groups, or even just like journal prompts that people can use to just kind of have some more guided self-reflection, because that's basically what the book is it's just a bunch of genuine self-reflection. The first chapter in the book is entitled Shame. It used to dominate so much of my life because I was hiding things about myself from everybody else because I was scared that if they knew this one thing about me, then they wouldn't want to be my friend. Then I would be unlovable. I wouldn't be worthy enough to be everyone else's friends because I thought that everybody else was up here and I was down here. And you see, shame is this funny thing that keeps us out of community. It keeps us out of relationship. It keeps us out of any kind of real connection. It isolates you because it separates you not only from God, but from everybody else around you. I seriously thought I was going to the grave with the story that I wrote in my book, Be Free. I was trying to present this other image to the world of someone who had it all together, and I didn't want to go deep because I didn't want to have to reveal that. I didn't want to have to be asked the questions that were hard. I didn't want people to find things out about me that I thought made me defective, like broken without a cure, different from everybody else. Because I didn't like myself. I thought that my story made me unlovable. But what's so interesting is that the second I started to share this story with people, that's when I started to experience real human connection, real human intimacy. That's when I started to experience what it means to be loved fully for who I am, like all the cracks and everything. The people that responded to my story with love, they just mirrored who Jesus is, what he really thinks about us. He knew the whole time and he loved me anyway. I was so caught up in my shame that I doubted anyone's love for me. The second we are able to put our shame on the table, to put our brokenness on the table, is the second we almost have a key to set other people free to do the same thing. That's when people are like, oh my gosh, I am not alone. This person experienced that too? Like, have you ever experienced someone being so vulnerable but so free about it because they know that what they have to say is not going to affect their identity. It's not going to affect how loved they are. And in a sense, them being so open and free about their life makes you feel like you can be open and free about yours as well. I think we need more people like that. That's how I want to be. That's why I make these videos. That's why I write these books. I want to share my brokenness so that you can see that you're not alone, but in our brokenness, we are loved anyway. We are worthy and accepted anyway. In our brokenness is where we can find the human connection. In our weakness, that's where he's strong. That's where we connect. My weakness shows that I am not the captain of my own ship. My weakness shows that I actually need people in my life. I need community. It's scary to be vulnerable. It's scary to give the shame story. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every person that I shared my stuff with responded well, because that is such a lie. I got some really terrible responses, but I also got some really amazing responses. And I think it's our responsibility as human beings to learn to trust again, to learn to try again, because we need it. Like, I want to say this so humbly because I know that people have been really hurt. There are some stories that break my heart, stories that I bet I can't even imagine. But we really have to know that the connection that we can gain by trusting, by loving, by putting ourselves out there, it is so worth the risk. That's what brings life. It's having other people in your story with you. Once you put your shame on the table and let other people into it with you, that's when the shame dies. That's when grace is let in. Or now when I make a mistake, I have that history of God loving me in that mistake to go back on. Because back then it was so scary to me. I didn't know if God would still love me after all that. I didn't know if I was still going to be loved and worthy and saved. I didn't have the history to prove it. I had people that told me things about God. I had things that I could read in the Bible or things that I could hear from a pastor or whatever about God loving me anyway. But I had no experience whatsoever. It's kind of like when you get into a new relationship and at the beginning you're still earning trust with each other. Like, he hasn't seen you with your hair in your curlers, if people still do that. He hasn't seen you no makeup on, and so you're constantly trying to keep it together because he hasn't seen you not like dressed to the nines, and you're not sure how he would respond. He says he won't respond bad, but you don't know until it actually, you have the history, those experiences of that happening, of him seeing you in your curlers with no makeup on and still loving you after. You don't have the proof. But then 5-10 years down the road, nightly basis, he starts to see you in your curlers without any makeup on, and he loves you every night anyway and thinks you're beautiful every night anyway. That's when you don't have those fears anymore of going to bed with your curlers and no makeup on in front of him. That's when you know, because you have those 5 or 10 years of history to prove it, that he's not going anywhere. That's kind of what it's like with Jesus right now, because it's like I have that shame story where he loved me in that really intense time of my life where I didn't think I was worthy. He loved me through that. So now when I'm going through something hard, I have that to look back on. I have the history to prove who he is and how loved I am and how saved and set free that I am. And that doesn't mean that I don't have problems, because you guys, I have so many problems. Watch any of my videos and you'll know I have all of them. But it just means that I know that they are not the end of the story. They are not the conclusion. They are not what define me. It's just part of my story. There is deeper human connection on the other side of shame. Shame sucks and it's scary and it lies and it only grows in isolation. We're not in this alone, and we might not be defective like we think we are. I love you guys. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, before you go, I wrote a book. It is called Be Free. If you would like to purchase that book, it will be a personalized signed copy from me. Click the link in the description box below. There's a link to purchase there. It is about my journey overcoming shame, stepping into a life of freedom and learning who Jesus is. My book, Be Free, out now, link below. Or if you guys want to support me on a monthly basis as an independent writer, speaker, and video blogger, then please go check out my Patreon page. That is patreon.com/JackieGTV. If you go there for literally as small as $1 a month, you can read the prologue of my new up-and-coming book, Finding Home, and you will also get your name in the acknowledgments of that book. So that's really cool. Please go check out the links to my book, Patreon, links below. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.